Welcome to the Narrative Mindset Podcast. If this is your first time tuning in, I would appreciate it if you went back and viewed previous episodes when you get time. There's a particular ache in the things we almost had. The jobs nearly landed, the friendships that slipped away, the dreams that hovered close but never touched down. Missed goals do not vanish. They linger like shadows, following us into quiet moments when we least expect them. They remind us of the fragility of effort, of how close we can come without crossing the line. And in their silence, they carry a weight heavier than failure, because they whisper of what might have been. The ache of almost is sharper than the ache of loss, because it leaves us suspended between hope and regret, never fully able to let go. The deer becomes a symbol of that ache, standing still as a forgotten promise. It does not move, and neither does the memory of what we missed. In its stillness, it reflects the quiet grief of almost. The way near misses carve themselves into us more deeply than victories. And in that reflection, we are reminded that longing is its own kind of presence, shaping us even when it does not deliver. To miss something is to have reached for it, and that reaching leaves a mark. The deer, like the missed goal, is both haunting and holy, a reminder that even failure carries the dignity of effort. The city breathes in rhythms, measured not by clocks, but by the groan of the queue line, the distant wail of sirens, and the sudden, startling silence of a side street after midnight. I've known these rhythms my entire life, just as I've known the persistent ache of almost. Detroit has a way of etching its stories into your bones. Stories of grandeur and collapse, of defiant resilience and quiet surrender. For me, it's the story of friendship, a dream, and a deer that always seemed just out of reach. His name was Leo. We met in the carnivorous, echoing halls of Cass Tech. Two misfit teenagers with oversized ambitions and an insatiable hunger for something more. Detroit in the late 80s and early 90s was a city often dismissed, but to us, it was a crucible of creativity, a vast empty canvas waiting for our brushstrokes. We saw opportunity in the abandoned buildings, art in the graffiti-splashed walls, and a future glowing bright beyond the tarnished windows of our present. Our friendship wasn't just a bond, it was an entanglement of souls. We finished each other's sentences, understood unspoken glances, and nurtured a shared dream that grew like a tenacious weed in cracked pavement. We wanted to build something, not just a business, not just a product, but a legacy, something that would put Detroit on a different map, a map of innovation and artistry. We'd spend hours fueled by stale coffee and cheap pizza, hunched over notebooks in Leo's cramped basement, or perched on the hood of my beat-up 78 Cutlass in an empty lot near Easter Market. The city lights would shimmer in the distance, a million tiny promises. We almost had it that time, didn't we? Leo would say. Years later, his voice thick with a mixture of nostalgia and lingering bitterness. He was referring to our high school science fair project, an ambitious design for a self-sustaining urban garden system. We worked months, poring over schematics, tinkering with prototypes made of salvaged parts. We were finalists. The judges circled our display with impressed murmurs. Our names were whispered with a reverence usually reserved for sports stars. We could almost taste victory. Then, on the final day, a crucial pump failed. A tiny, almost imperceptible leak that brought the whole intricate system to a slow, gurgling halt just an hour before the final presentation. We didn't win. We almost did. It was our first deer, fleeting and beautiful, then vanished into the undergrowth of what-ifs. At first, almost was a sting, but it hardened our resolve. We laughed it off, convinced it was merely a dress rehearsal for the grand triumphs to come. College came and went, a blur of deadlines and low-paying jobs that funded our real education, late-night ideation sessions, and weekend coding marathons. Our dream crystallized into a specific venture, a tech platform designed to connect Detroit's burgeoning local artists with a global market, bypassing traditional gatekeepers. We called it Metropolis Canvas. The concept was daring, innovative, and deeply rooted in our love for the city. We saw the grit and talent of our neighbors, the painters and sculptors, the musicians and designers, struggled to be seen. We believed Metropolis Canvas could be their megaphone. We saw the grit and talent of our neighbors, the painters and sculptors, the musicians and designers, struggling to be seen. We believed Metropolis Canvas could be their megaphone. For 3 years, it consumed us. Every waking hour, every spare dollar, every ounce of our creative energy was poured into it. We learned code, to market, to pitch. We networked relentlessly, charming skeptics and recruiting a small, dedicated team of fellow believers. We hit milestones with exhilarating speed. A working prototype, a small seed investment from a local angel investor who saw the fire in our eyes. Features in local papers that painted us as the new face of Detroit's tech scene. We even secured a meeting with a major venture capital firm in California. This was the big one, our golden deer. I remember the flight to California, a nervous energy thrumming between us. We rehearsed our pitch countless times. our words a well-oiled machine of passion and data. The meeting itself was a blur of polished offices, sharp suits, and intense gazes. We presented with everything we had, our hearts pounding, our conviction absolute. The VCs listened, nodded, asked probing questions. They looked impressed. They looked interested. "We'll be in touch," the lead partner said, a slight smile playing on his lips. "You've got something real here." Boys, we walked out of the building onto the sun-drenched streets of Palo Alto, giddy with a belief that felt like certainty. We celebrated with an overpriced celebratory meal, toasting to the future. We talked about how we'd scale, how we'd expand, how we'd finally buy our parents proper homes. The deer was in our sights, beautiful and majestic, poised to be brought down by our combined precision. We could already feel the weight of its antlers in our hands. The in-touch call came a week later, not from the lead partner, but from a junior associate. "They loved the idea," he said. "They loved our passion." But they had just invested heavily in a similar, though less refined, platform based in Austin. "Perfect timing," he lamented. "Just a few weeks too late for us. It was almost a perfect fit," he said, using that word, the one that would haunt me for years. Almost. The air left my lungs. It was like watching something shatter in slow motion. The deer, so close, so perfectly aimed for, had simply melted into the trees. It wasn't a mistake on our part. It wasn't a flaw in our design. It was simply the brutal, indifferent timing of the universe, and almost too painful to simply brush off. That failure, that colossal almost, didn't kill Metropolis Canvas immediately. It slowly, agonizingly bled it dry. The initial investor, seeing the VC firm pass, pulling back, citing market uncertainties. Our team, once so enthusiastic, began to drift away, drawn to more stable opportunities. We tried to pivot, to re-strategize, but the wind had gone out of our sails. More accurately, the very air had become thick and heavy, making every breath a chore. The dream, once so vibrant, became a ghost. And with it, our friendship began to fray. The unspoken blame hung in the air between us like the city's winter fog. Who had pushed too hard? Who hadn't pitched well enough? Who had picked the wrong time? There were no easy answers, just a deepening well of quiet resentment. Leo started working longer hours at his day job, retreating into himself. Our late-night talks became sporadic, then non-existent. The empty lots where we'd once plotted our future now felt too vast, too desolate. One night, months after the final, official end of Metropolis Canvas, I called him. phone rang and rang, finally going to voicemail. I left a rambling message, trying to recapture some of our old camaraderie. To bridge the chasm that had opened between us. It sucks, doesn't it? I remember saying, my voice cracking, to almost have it all. He never called back. Not about that message. Not about anything. He started a new life, moved across town, then eventually out of state. The friend who was once my other half became a memory, a phantom limb. The pain of the failed dream was immense, but the loss of Leo, the silence where his laughter used to be, was a different kind of wound entirely. It was an almost that felt more personal, more devastating than any business venture. I almost kept him. I almost salvaged it, but I didn't. Years passed. Detroit, ever resilient, continued its dance of demolition and rebirth. So did I. In my own way, I found a stable job, built a comfortable life, but the ghost of Metropolis canvas and the echo of Leo's absence followed me. Every new project, every promising endeavor carried with it a whisper. Almost. I became wary of reaching too high, of caring too much, convinced that the universe delighted in snatching things away just as they reached my fingertips. The deer, in my mind, wasn't just a symbol of that one big failure. It became a recurring motive in my life. The promotion I was perfect for, but lost to an internal candidate with more seniority. The relationship that was passionate and deep, but crumbled due to conflicting life paths. The house I fell in love with, only to lose in a bidding war each time. I saw the beautiful creature in my sights, almost within grasp, only for it to vanish, leaving behind an empty space and the familiar ache of almost. I was nearing 40 when something shifted. I was walking through an empty lot, one of the many dot Detroit's landscapes, the kind Leo and I used to hunt. The sun was setting, painting the skeletal remains of a brick building in hues of orange and purple. A silver of urban nature had reclaimed the space. Wildflowers pushing through the concrete cracks, saplings reaching for the sky. It hit me then, a realization so profound it felt like a physical jolt. The deer, the symbol of all my missed shots, my heart attacks, my agonizing almost. What if wasn't a curse, but a different kind of teacher? I had spent so long focusing on loss, on failure to hit the target. But what about the hunt itself? The skill required to track, the patience to wait, the focus to aim. What about the sheer beauty of the deer? Even as it eluded me, Metropolis canvas failed. Yes, but Leo and I had built something from nothing. We had inspired others. We had learned more in those 3 years than in a decade of formal education. We had dared to dream bigger than anyone else knew. we had lived that dream. However briefly, we chased it with every fiber of our being. The fragility of that dream wasn't a flaw. It was inherent in its very nature. Like the delicate balance of life itself. The beauty of a wild deer is precisely in its wildness, its untamed spirit, its resistance to being captured. In Leo, the pain of our drifted friendship began to soften into something else: gratitude. We had shared an extraordinary chapter of our lives. We had pushed each other, challenged each other, believed in each other when no one else would. The friendship hadn't ended in a fiery explosion, but dissolved like mist, a quiet tragedy. But the love for that shared journey, for that connection, remained. I wished him well, wherever he was, hoping he too had found peace with our shared almost. The emotional cost of almost is indeed high. It leaves scars, whispers doubts, breeds a cautiousness that can stifle future potential. But what if those scars are simply the marks of a life fully lived? A life where you dared to put yourself out there, to strive for something magnificent, even if it wasn't guaranteed. What if the doubt is just a reminder to be prepared, to learn, to grow? What if cautiousness becomes wisdom, guiding you to choose your targets more carefully, to savor the journey as much as the destination? Detroit, too, is a city of almost rebuilt, almost a thriving metropolis, almost returned to its former glory. But it is also a city of continuous effort, of reinvention, of finding beauty in the struggle. The empty lots are not just graves of past dreams, but fertile ground for new ones. Now, when I see a deer, whether in a fleeting glimpse of the outskirts of the city or in the metaphorical pursuit of a new goal, I no longer see just the missed shot. I see the incredible beauty of the creature itself. The thrill of the chase, the honor in the attempt. I understand that the most meaningful things in life are often the most fragile, the most elusive. And sometimes the true victory lies not in capturing the deer, but in having the courage to chase it at all. The almost aren't failures. They are the wild, magnificent heartbeats of a life truly lived. And that, I've found, is truly inspirational. Maybe missed goals are not failures, but monuments. They stand as proof that we once reached, that we dared to aim. They are reminders of courage, not weakness. Because to miss something means we tried to touch it. And in that trying, we reveal the shape of our desire. The ache of almost becomes a kind of testimony. Proof that we are willing to risk disappointment in pursuit of something larger than ourselves. And maybe the deer I saw was not a ghost at all, but a witness, watching me carry the weight of almost, reminding me that even near misses shape who we are. The ache of what we did, not achieve, becomes part of our history. A shadow that deepens the light of what we do. In that way, missed goals are not endings, but echoes, carrying us forward in ways we cannot always see. They remind us that the act of reaching itself is a kind of success, even if the target remains out of reach. Thank you for tuning into this episode of the Narrative Mindset Podcast.